tell me about growing up in Youngstown. A lot of different stories. You mentioned it a lot. What was it like for you growing up in Youngstown?
Well, Youngstown is a really big part of who I am, no doubt, in my story. And I grew up on the north side originally. That's where I was born, St. Elizabeth Hospital. Um, and Really on the Harding Elementary School there. Rand High School is still there. I see it is not there last time I came. Um, but had a pretty rough childhood in that neighborhood, but moved around quite a bit. So always would return there. Even at one point moved to California and back, but always sort of ended up back in Youngstown. And at the age of 12, finally was removed from that situation and spent the rest of my time in Liberty. Uh, and so that would be when I met your friends, Elaine Jacobs and Kim Camardo, were in my class at Liberty. And that was a saving grace for me. I really feel like there's so many fond memories I have of the North Side. I should say that. That was back in the time when kids roamed free. Um, but, obviously, I really saw how much we talk a lot about social determinants of health, but I can see how just by my life having just a slight change, my trajectory was often very different than people who I left behind. So that's something I'm really cognizant of in the work I do now.
Did you live in a lot of different places on the north side? Did you move around a lot?
Yeah, and my brother and I tried one time to count how many places, and we came up with 18 as of the age of 12, and I probably don't remember much from like before five. So, pretty nomadic lifestyle, and um, and you probably heard at the last point we were living in a tent. So in the winter, at that point I was actually going to Austintown Middle School. So um, yeah, so it was a hard. I'm thinking today is Child Abuse Recognition
Right.
Day, and it's something that I remember being a kid, and there were people who really went out of their way to do things to help. I remember walking on the north side and people seeing us walk by because everyone walked then, and giving us like breakfast, my brother and I, because they knew we were hungry, just random neighbors. But I also remember people looking the other way, not wanting their kids to play with me because we were dirty and smelly, and I remember waiting in long lines, for assistance or food. So all those things are, a part of me, I guess. I don't think my friends in Liberty, I didn't really talk about it much. You just want to fit in.
When I
When I was
talked to Elaine, she knew nothing about that.
right,
I mean, it
right,
was, and I think you and her know each other pretty well, don't you?
right. And
Yeah.
I would say, and even I had one, friend, Jen, we were super close, but, it's really hard for people at that young age to hear about things like that, especially if you've not known it. So I realized pretty early on, and I think it was a different time as well. I think it was a time when people didn't talk about that. Um, and so you just want to fit in, and
And you did that at Liberty, though, didn't you? I mean, you
yeah.
were. That was. I mean, for as I don't know, nomadic as your younger years were, your high school years were, well, fairly normal. Is that the right term?
I would say so. I mean, we still didn't have a lot, but going to schools makes so much of a difference. I mean, they really do.
Everybody says you fit right in as soon as you went to Liberty. It was like, I guess one of them said that they all went to school together from kindergarten. You slid in when, in the 10th grade?
Yeah,
I mean, it was
seventh
like
grade.
you blended
Seventh
right
grade.
in.
Oh, it was. They don't remember. It was harder than they know. but but it was a small size school, so you could really get to know everyone. And it's so funny. I'll say this one thing to someone in news. One of the big things back then, it was based on Saturday Night Live skits of doing the news, but we would have to in seventh grade do these newscasts. And sometimes when I'm doing these press briefings, I I'm thinking about Eddie and Dave and my little group, Kevin, I think. We were all on this news team. And sometimes I feel like when the governor dishes to me that we're doing the news or when I have something behind me. So
What
I
grade did you
actually,
start in Liberty?
seventh grade. So
Seventh
that,
grade.
I
So
actually
you
have a
went to
memory from,
Harding and then Austintown Middle
yeah,
and
I
then
also
Liberty.
spent and some time in Boardman. I was in Boardman somewhere in there, maybe around third grade ish. Went to California for a bit. Shipped back on a bus from there. Went to Pennsylvania for a little bit with a relative. Came back to Youngstown again. Always back to Northside.
Okay.
Eventually, a little bit in Austintown.
How about your years at YSU?
Oh, so that was good too because, you know, Neo UConn as it was called then, the BSMD program was something. Somewhere when I was around 8, I almost my appendix burst, and I was in a hospital, and they were so good to you in the hospital, the nurses and doctors, just like they're being for everyone right now, that I got just thought I could, be whatever I want to be, and 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 then I learned about, actually it was when I was living in a basement and I was listening to the radio. I heard about them talk about this brand new med school that you could go to and do it in 6 years straight, get all the same education but in 6 years. And so I got it in my mind that that's what I wanted to do. And so all through Liberty, everything I was doing was in the hope that I could somehow get in. It was fairly competitive, and so that was my dream. And I was able to go to Youngstown State. I worked a lot of jobs. I lived with a couple different families during that time, the Lewis family and the Berman families. I was a companion to a child as a way to, because I put myself through. And but you could still do it then because it was affordable, and just really had a fabulous education. And after that, went to New York City for a while in the Bronx, and then came to Columbus, and have been here since.
How are you dealing with your newfound celebrityship? I mean, three weeks ago, I'm not saying you were probably well known in your field, but you're like a household name in Ohio now, and I mean that happened really fast.
It is. I can tell you, it is not something I can fully take in. Um, I'm a very ordinary person in an extraordinary moment, and this, and you feel. I mean, again, I don't know how I ended up here at this moment in time. It's also a very heavy feeling of responsibility, to be in this place at this time with this governor. I mean, and it's all about this governor, I can tell you, because I don't make these decisions, he makes them. And you really have to, he's so passionate about the health and well-being of Ohioans, and he will do, and it's very, I'm not a politician, so this is all, and these aren't easy decisions to make, but to be with someone as experienced and as committed to all of us as he is, it's an honor of a lifetime. I think it will take me years to get over, like to actually wrap my head around it, because I'm working all the time, so there's not a lot of time to stop and see what it is. I need everyone to know that I'm just the tip of the iceberg of so many people who are working tirelessly on your behalf. I think people don't realize at home that it's kind of a two-way street. Like, you've given us the strength to keep doing this, and there's no doubt what people have done has changed our fate. It has saved untold lives. Someday we'll probably have a better sense of how many lives they saved. You have saved at home. It's a mutual thing we're doing together. It really is. And there aren't many moments like this in life where everything falls away and what really matters is like right in front of you. And I want to cherish this and never let it go. It'll be with me the rest of my days.
Cuyahoga County has 3 times the cases that Mahoning County has. It has double the hospitalizations, but Mahoning County has more deaths. You got an explanation for that one?
I think it could be very complicated as to why that is. I have many friends who are on the front lines. One of my great friends from med school, Pete Condolius, He is him, his brother, his wife. They're all involved in the healthcare system there, and I
At
know how
St.
hard.
E's?
They're in Trumbull now,
Okay, they're in Trumbull. Okay.
and you know, they've had some hard outbreaks there in nursing homes, particularly. Saw the same thing in Columbiana County with the prison, Salem Hospital getting hit really hard. Uh,
You
I
know
think this,
why?
you know, I think it's whenever there's a congregate setting, it's going to be more at risk, and I think you're going to see this. There's flare-ups like this all over the state. Deaths are often lagging, so the story will not stay the same. It will move around. But we also have, you know, more elderly, like the average age in Mahoning. Trumbull is older than other counties. They're all working together. I can tell you that all of Northeast Ohio is working collaboratively, and definitely reach out to your local health department if you're struggling with something. They will reach out to my team, and we want to be alongside of you as you go through this. We're talking to the mayor, the governor, and I'm often on the calls talking to your mayor in Youngstown, and the county commissioners as well.
Okay. A lot of churches around Youngstown on Sunday are going to be holding parking lot services, where they're going to tune in. They drive in, they tune in their FM radios, and the preacher serves from there. Are you okay with that?
You know, I've seen this done, and I know it can be done well. Sort of like when you do a marching band, I've seen folks get up and keep distance, and people be in their cars. It's a very individual situation. I really suggest that those pastors work with your local health department and get advice. The last thing anyone wants to do, I know, is hurt the people in their congregation. There are some folks who are disregarding the guidelines, and that, you know, that's just a terrible, terrible thing. But I also know that people are trying to provide a service that people need. Our spiritual life is very, very much needs nourishing right now. If you can do it virtually, I think that's the safest way. The folks in the car with your family, and right in your own family, you're in a car packed together. It's a little different than being in a house. You might want to wear masks because you might be asymptomatic and actually giving it to your family members.
So you're not going to totally nix it. Just be careful.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Be careful. And if you have grandma or somebody who's more at risk or someone with a lot of health conditions, maybe they shouldn't do the drive-in service packed in a car.
One of your earliest news conferences, you said, we hope we get this 80% right. Is Ohio getting it 80% right?
They are, and it's
more than 80%?
You know, we can't measure an exact percent on social distancing. We've looked at fascinating cell phone usage, traffic data. We're looking at the actual results of it. It can't be perfect because we need people out. We have healthcare workers and grocery. People are out and about. They have to be. But this.
Are we getting at 80%?
Yes, and it's an unprecedented thing. I mean, just the fact that we could say on one day wear masks and 3 days later it's part of our culture. No one would think that was possible. No one would think that was possible, and people are doing it. So I think, but we got to keep getting it right. Please, please don't. You're hearing all this modeling, and somehow people are interpreting that as meaning it's okay to go back to life as normal. That is not the message of the modeling. And we have to stay steady through the storm, and we haven't gone through the worst of the storm yet. So,
just a couple more quick questions. Your favorite Youngstown pizza?
Oh my God. I can't name them anymore. There was a Stromboli that was on campus, and I believe the restaurant is still there. But I've lived I'm 54 years old, so forgive me for not remembering.
How about your favorite Youngstown restaurant?
Antonio's, was that a...
Who?
Antonio's, there was a place that had mozzarella. That was amazing. But there was a Stromboli on campus, and it still is one of my favorite memories.
Your favorite Youngstown restaurant? You got one?
Do you remember the 21st century?
It was the 20th century.
20th century.
Yeah, it was good. The Levy brothers ran it.
The salad. Okay,
The spinning bowl salad. You ever have the spinning bowl salad?
Yeah. So that is a memory. The Avalon is still a memory, obviously. And don't laugh, but I worked at the Western Sizzlin Steakhouse on Belmont Avenue, so that's bought at it, still a memory. But
so you're in Northside, true and true.
True and true.
Hanging out at the Avalon.
For me, it's the Kravitz's and delicatessen.
You have a favorite Handel's flavor?
I just had last night mint chocolate chip from Handel's, because we do have Handel's now in Columbus, and they drop some off on my door.
Dr. Acton, thank you very much.
Thank you, and to everyone there, keep up what you're doing, and you're amazing. Thank you.
Dr. Acton, we love you here.
Love you too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.